All right, so let's go ahead and get started. My name is Lisa. I'm the process manager here at MSSC. So we're just going to go over today the new updates to our system. I'm going to give you a look at what it's going to look like starting on launching August 1st. So we'll go through a little bit of what it looks like, and then we'll go over some questions at the end. So if you have questions throughout, if you can type them into that chat box, and I'll try and keep an eye on it as we go through, and then I'll try and get questions at the end. All right, so the first thing, this is going to be our new login screen. So where before in our old system we had systems.msscusa, we had candidates.msscusa, and we had instructors.msscusa. And now all of those candidates, whether you have, if you're the site coordinator or if you're a candidate, everyone's going to log in through this same screen here. So this URL is going to be login.msscusa.org, and everyone's they'll see this exact same screen here. So the first thing that we've changed in our process is how candidates are going to register. So if you have a brand new candidate before in the system, they would have to go to candidates.msscusa.org. They'd have to type in their information with a registration code. The site coordinator would have to go back in and approve it, and then they'd have to go back in and activate their account. So now what we're doing is before any of that starts, the candidate will be able to create their account. So they're not going to need a registration code. They're not going to need any of that information. They can just go ahead and log in and create their account here. So standard candidates are going to be the majority of your candidates. Military candidates would be anyone who's going through our military program, and then instructor candidate would be anyone who's an MSSC instructor. So any of your candidates that you have in the system now who are already registered with your site, all of those accounts are going to be transferred over to the new system. They won't have to create any new account. They won't have to create a new password. Everything will be the same. So they'll log in with their same email, same password, just on the new website. Okay. The other thing that we're changing on this process is that there's two things actually. So the first is that when candidates register, they're going to have to select their own classification here. So they'll select whether they're secondary, post-secondary, or industry. They'll select their certification system. And they'll enter this information, and then they'll have to enter their address as well. Let's try one more here. There we go. All right, so they'll enter their address here on this page. All right, and then here on this last page, or this next page here, they'll have to enter what assessment center they'll be testing at. So they'll be able to select the site from the drop-down menu here, and they can either start typing it in, or they can just scroll through the list to find it. And then when they click next, it'll take them through the demographic questions, and then it'll ask them to read over the code of ethics and agree to the code of ethics at the end before completing their account. Okay, so let me go back to this main screen. So again, this website is going to be login.msscusa.org. So I'm going to log in now as a site coordinator, so I can give you a look at what that would look like from that side. Okay, so So this is the main screen that any site coordinator would see when they log into our system. So they'll see that same welcome message from our CEO. Up here, they'll be able to see an overview of how many orders their site has placed in the last month. So just kind of gives them a general idea of what's going on at their site. And then before, we had all of our menus across the top. Now those menus are going to be here on the side. All right, so the first one I want to show you over here is the purchasing. So this is where you're going to be placing all of your orders for courses, registrations, assessments, instructor training. So let me show you the order registration here. And so the first thing you're going to do, you'll see the list of all the products here. So if I click on assessments, you'll see all of the assessments here that are available. But the first thing you have to do before you place any orders, you see here, if I try and enter a quantity, it won't let me. You're going to have to select your site before you do anything. So once you've selected that, then I can go over here and select the classification for the student. All right, so I'll just order 1. All right, and then the checkout process would be the same. So you'd have to go to a screen where you could view your cart. So this is where you would review everything. You can double check that this is, yes, this is the right, I want post-secondary registrations. If you see here, oh, okay, I wanted to order industry, I can change it here and click on update. And I can double check that I have the right number here. And then if you click on checkout, this will be the same as before. You'll enter your billing address, any comments that you have for us about the order, and you can select your payment method here. And if you go ahead and click on complete purchase, it'll ask you again one more time just to confirm that you have everything right. If you click continue, All right, if you click continue, the other thing that's new is that if we go to our inventory now, so before we had registrations would be available within the next couple of minutes, but assessments would take up to 24 hours to be available in your inventory. Now, as soon as you place that order, registrations and assessments are going to be immediately available in your inventory. So you'll click over here on inventory, and this is your inventory here. This is an overview. So you have, just at a glance, you have 3 registrations and 13 assessments in your inventory. So if I click on View Site Inventories, then this is the main inventory. So this one here, this is where anyone who places an order for your site, any of the registrations and assessments that they order are going to be placed into this main inventory. So before we had everyone had a different PIN number, and then registrations and assessments were kind of locked behind someone's PIN number. All of your inventory is going to be in this one pot, so everyone would have access to this inventory. Now, as the site coordinator, you'll be able to create a new inventory, which would be creating something like this. So here I've created a special inventory just for instructor trainings. So I've separated out all the registrations and assessments from my main inventory that I'm going to be using for instructors, and I've separated them out into this one so that they will only be used for instructors. And this way you can do this. You could also do it for, if you had a class, let's say you had a class for the spring semester, you could separate all their registrations and assessments for that class. You could separate it out if you have secondary and post-secondary programs. You could create separate inventories for those. So it's just kind of a way to help you keep track of what you have and keep track of what it's supposed to be used for. So I'm going to click here. If I click on Manage, right, so here I'll see these are all of the registrations that I have in my account. So this is the one, this top one here is the one I just ordered. Right, so here on the screen you'll be able to see, again, you'll see the classification, you'll see the order number. So you can click on this and it'll take you back to the summary of the order. So you can just verify what was ordered. And you'll see that the date that it was ordered here. So if I click on, and this is another part that's changing. So if I click over here on Assign, this is how candidates are going to be complete their registration now. So here again at the top I have more information about the registration that I just ordered. Again, it's post-secondary. And then here, this is where I'm going to assign it to a candidate. So in this list, this drop-down menu here, this is going to list all of the candidates who, when they created their accounts, selected that they were going to be testing at MSSC. So this is just, it will only show the list of candidates who have selected that. It won't show anyone else in the system. So I can click on this account that I just created and click Save. And then that registration will get assigned to that student. So their account, they now have a candidate ID number, and they'll be able to log into their account. Now if I go back to this page of the main inventory, I can click here on Used, and I can see here this is that registration I just ordered, the one I just assigned, and I can see who it was assigned to. So I can click on this student, and I get a summary of that student. So I can just verify all of their information. I can verify that it was assigned, verify this is the right email address. Yes, they're supposed to be assigned to my center. So just get an overview of that student from that screen. Let me go back to the inventory. And then assessments would be the same way. You would see the list of assessments here. You'd see the order number, the date that it was ordered, and then you'd be able to assign that to a student as well. And when you click on to assign a student to an assessment, it's only going to show a list of students who have already been registered and have registered or have already been registered. So it's only going to show you if the candidate, if you look at that list and you don't see one of your candidates on there, the candidate might not have been assigned a registration yet. So it's just going to show you those who have already been registered. You'll be able to see what's been used as well. So you'll be able to see the list of what assessment it was, when it was ordered, and the student that it was assigned to in that used screen. Right, so then the next item here is the orders. Right, so this is going to give you your order history for your site. So anyone who places an order for your site, you would be able to see all of that information here. You'll see who placed the order, when it was ordered, and then you can click over here on the I, and you can get you'll see a summary of that order. So you'll see what was ordered. And then certifications. So this is what we had before listed as credentials. So we've just changed the name to be certifications here. But here you'll see anyone who's earned a certificate at your site. So you'll be able to filter it out by CPT, CLT. You can filter out to just search for those who have earned the full certifications. You'll be able to search by the candidate name and the date as you were before. We've also added this visual here so you can see, okay, this student has completed 4 out of the 5 CPT assessments and they're full CPT certified here. All right, and then if you click on Show, then you can see this is the same as before. You can add a copy of their certificate to your cart, or you can go ahead and download a copy here. So you'll still be able to place orders or download their certificates from your account. Right, and then Assessment Center. This is, you'll just see your assessment center here, but if you click on the profile, you'll get kind of an overview of what's happening at your site. So you get an overview of your inventory here. You'll see the last couple of orders that you've placed. You'll see a list of all your candidates, and you can scroll through them here, and you'll be able to click on their profiles. That'll be the same thing I showed you earlier. And then you'll also be able to see any discount codes that your site has. So any kind of discount you get from us, you would see that here. All right, and then user management. So this is something that we've added. So now you'll be able to see the profiles of people who are attached to your site. You'll be able to see any of your standard candidates who have been assigned. You'll see the list of them here. And you'll also be able to take a look at their profile here on the side. You'll also be able to see the profile information for any of your instructors. So if I click on this one, right, so then I can see, all right, this instructor has been registered, but they haven't taken any of their assessments yet. So I know that this candidate will have to take their assessments, and I'll have to set up those dates for this instructor. I'll also be able to see if they've selected their training, so you can tell where one of your instructors is in the process of their training here. The other thing to note on these profiles, and this is the same for instructors and standard candidates, you'll be able to send them a message directly from the system here. So let's say, if you wanted to set up, you saw this instructor doesn't have any assessments assigned to them yet, so you wanted to go ahead and set that up with them, you could send them a message here that said, contact me to find out when to set up your assessments. And you could just send that directly through our system. And the other thing you'll be able to see as the site coordinator is you'll be able to see a list of anyone who has an ordering account with your site, or anyone who's able to access any of this information will be listed here. And you'll be able to see if they're, the site coordinator, if they just have an ordering account, or if you have someone listed as a proctor who has an account, you'd be able to see all of that information here. And you'd also be able to see their profile if you click on this button. All right. So a couple of other things to note. Instructor training. So now when you order the instructor training, before you would order the instructor training package, you would have to enter all of the instructor information at checkout, and then the instructor would have to register themselves, and then they'd have to come back and you'd have to order assessments for them. So now we've had it so when you order an instructor training package, it'll automatically deposit a registration and the correct number of assessments for them in your inventory. So now the instructor, you'll purchase the package for them, you'll be able to sign them to a registration. Once you do that, then they'll be able, if they are a CPT instructor, they'll go through and select their training date. And then when they're ready, they'll come back and say, I'm ready to be assigned to an assessment, and you can do that right here from your screen. I wanted to know also about the assessments. So when you assign an assessment to a student, you've noticed that, let me go here into this one so you can see the list of assessments. You'll notice that we don't have an expiration date listed here, and there's no point for you to enter in a test date for that student. So when you assign this assessment to a student, this information will get sent over to NOCTI, and you can go log into your NOCTI Client Services Center and pick up the user code and password. And this is where it'll take, there's about 24 hours of lag time between when you assign the assessment to a student and when it will be available in NOCTI. So you would have to assign your students to the assessments the day before they're ready to take the assessment. And it's once the assessment is assigned and is available in NOCTI, that's when the 6 months of expiration, that clock starts. So once they've been assigned, they have 6 months from that date that they were assigned to complete the assessment. So that it won't start now, it won't start when you place the order, it'll start now when you assign the student to an assessment. All right. All right, so the other thing I want to mention before I leave this account, so this is what a site coordinator account would look like. If someone has a ordering account with your organization, on this side here, they would just be able to see your order history, the purchasing, and the inventory. So someone who is just helping you out to place orders, maybe it's someone from your billing department, or maybe it's an instructor who just wants to be able to place orders for courses. They're not going to see any of that candidate information, and they won't be able to assign any registrations or assessments to students. Now, if you have a proctor who's listed and is able to place orders on your account, they would be able to go ahead and assign the assessments and registrations to students. We just limit that from the ordering accounts, but a proctor would be able to do that as well. All right. So that's kind of the overview of the new system here. I want to show you one more thing. So now, if you want to add someone to your account, so let's say I was just talking about people who might just have an ordering account. If you wanted to add someone to that, we have a separate site now for that. There we So this is where someone who, if you wanted to add them to your site, you could do that here. So you'd enter their email and password. And then here you could say select existing assessment center. And this is where you would be able to assign them to your site. So you would just enter your site code here, and then that would attach them to the site. Now, if it's someone who is just going to have an ordering account, then you as the site coordinator would get a message in your account saying that you should approve them to be added to your account. If you're trying to add someone as a proctor, that information will come to us at MSSC so that we can verify that they've attended the proctor training. But this is the site that they will go to create that account here. All right, so the new site will be launched Monday morning. So we're actually going to be shutting down our old system at 8 p.m. Eastern Time tomorrow on Friday. So the site, the old system and all will not be available from Friday, and then the new system won't be available until Monday. So if you have anything that you want to place for orders that you were thinking about placing this weekend, you'll have to get them in before 8 p.m. on Friday or place them on Monday. We will have a recording of this presentation as well as a number of help guides. We'll have all of that posted on our website. Starting on Monday, we'll also send out an email with a recording of this training as well as a number of help guides. We'll send that out on Monday as well. But if you have any questions about what you saw in this webinar, if you have any questions next week as you start to get in and use it, email them to this address here, info@msscusa.org, or you can give us a call and we'll help walk you through it. And this is what the new website will be, just again, so you have it there. So let me just go through here and see if I can answer any of these questions now. Yes, so someone asked if this would eliminate the students having to receive an email to activate their account. Yes, that will be eliminated, so they won't have to do that. Once you assign them to a registration, they'll receive an email just letting them know that their account has been activated and registered. But they won't need to do that back and forth of getting the email and clicking the link anymore. We will be updating, we mentioned that we're updating all of our help guides. We're also updating the candidate handbooks, and all of our assessment administration guide will be updated as well. And we'll be sending all of that out on Monday. Someone asked if the proctors would have to complete training again. So they're not required to complete the training. We would recommend that if someone, especially if they weren't able to sit in on this webinar, that if you have proctors, we would recommend that they go through the proctor training again. Again, our proctor training is at no cost to them, and it would be a great refresher and go through the new system with them, but it's not a requirement. Yeah, and again, just to reiterate that the expiration date will start once the assessments have been assigned to students, and there will be that 24 hours of time between when you assign it to a student and when that assessment will be available in NACTI. All right, so I think I was able to get through and answer all of your questions. If I missed any, I'll follow up with you after the webinar and try and get you answers. If you think of anything after we get off this webinar, if you think of any questions that you want to ask, just again send them to this email address and we'll get answers for you. And we'll have all of the stuff posted and sent out on Monday. So thank you so much for attending and sitting through this with us. And yeah, just let us know if you have any questions or any feedback about the website throughout the next couple of weeks here. Okay? Thank you.